So it's nice to see you all back again within the same, almost the same week. We had another guest lecture last week, which went very well. Tonight, this is the 8th installment in the TUJ Philosophy Lecture Series, and it is my real pleasure to present to you Professor Masahiro Morioka from Waseda University. He's Professor of Philosophy and Ethics, and one of the most renowned Japanese scholars in the field of life studies, bioethics, and general ethical studies right now in Japan. We'll be having a talk on a book that Professor Morioka wrote actually in Japanese. He drew the slides himself and then had extra help to make them look the way they look right now. I guess there will be slides translated in English for us tonight.
Yeah, in the process of translating.
So, without further ado, I present to you Professor Morioka. So, let's begin.
Hello and good evening. Today I'm going to talk about manga and philosophy. The reason why I chose this topic is that in 2013 I published a book in Japanese, An Introduction to Philosophy, and this Manga Introduction to Philosophy. So in this lecture I'm going to show you some examples from that book, and also talk about the relationship between manga and philosophy and the possibility of doing philosophy in the form of manga, or using illustrations, or maybe in anime. And today I'm going to talk first about the outline of my book, Manga Introduction to Philosophy, and second, I show some examples of cartoons and mangas that deal with topics of philosophy and other related academic fields written by various authors. And thirdly, I talk about philosophy of time in the form of manga and questions and answer sections. And first, I'd like to introduce myself. I graduated from University of Tokyo Philosophy and Ethics Department. And I worked in Kansai area, and especially Osaka Prefecture University. I worked for more than 15 years. And currently I teach philosophy and ethics in Waseda Human Sciences Department. And I'm now working for the organizer of Tokyo Philosophy Project. And this is my background, academic background. Originally I studied physics, and I forget everything about physics. And then I turned to philosophy when I was at third degree in my college days. And I studied philosophy of Wittgenstein and bioethics. And I have published a variety of books in Japanese. And I have these books on bioethics, medical ethics. And also I have published some criticisms of contemporary civilization. And I wrote 2 books on gender and sexuality, and some philosophical essays. And here you can see Manga Introduction to Philosophy, 2013. And currently I'm studying philosophy of meaning in life. And some books of mine have been translated into Korean, Chinese, and now Arabic and Indonesian translation is underway. And some are under translation into English, including this manga book. So, okay, first, I'd like to show you the outline of my Manga Introduction to Philosophy. This is the book. Manga Tetsugaku Nibon. And you can buy this book in ordinary, bookstores. So if you have an interest, please go to the bookstore and buy it. And this, this drawing, see, these drawings are finally made by mangaka, cartoonist Terada Nyanko-san. And I wrote the original text and also original drawings. And I think this book is perhaps the world's first book in which a philosopher will illustrate my own philosophical investigation into hard problems on time, being, solipsism, and life in the form of manga. So this is not a book that illustrates the history of philosophy or great philosophers' ideas. And this book has 230 pages, but the original drawings were made by me. I drew the original drawings, and the final drawings were made by professional cartoonist Nyanko Terada. And you can download the PDF of the whole Japanese book from this QR code. So if you look at, if you have the PDF of my book, you can, you can download. So please take a picture. If you,
Do you mind if you do that right now?
yeah, right now. And please use your QR code application to download it. But this file is very, very heavy, so I would recommend you to download in PC under Wi-Fi settings. Okay? And I made the original drawings with pencils. And Mr. Terada made final drawings in his PC. It took 3 years of trials and errors to finish this book. And you can see in the following slides my original drawings and Terada-san's final cartoons. Okay, so this is my original drawing. And this is a Terada-san's very, very professional final manga. So, yeah, Terada-san Terada-san traced my original drawings. So I want to thank you very much to Terada-san for his very professional work. And this is also, this is my drawing, original drawing, and this is the Terada-san's. And this is also, this is mine, this is Terada-san. Okay, in my manga book, there are 3 characters. This is Manmaru-kun, so you can see why this device called Manmaru. So his shape is Manmaru. Okay. And this is Imaimaru. This is Sensei, so this looks like me. So he's called Sensei. And these are contents of the book. And chapter 1 is discussion on time. And chapter 2 is discussion on being. Chapter 3 is about what is I. And chapter 4 is discussion on meaning of life. Okay, I will show you one example from chapter 3. The following slides are a sequence in which Sensei introduces the mystery of the concept of I, myself. And Manmaru-kun and Sensei are talking about what is I. Then sensei asked him, Mamoru-kun, let me ask you, where is your eye? Then Mamoru-kun answered, it's right here. He points to himself. Then sensei asks, where exactly? And Mamoru-kun answered, in my brain, I guess. So suddenly sensei started to say, all right, then let's take a look. Then sensei made some strange noise. And he cut Mamoru-kun's head and look into his brain. And then sensei look at inside his brain. And sensei says, I is nowhere to be found in Mamoru-kun's brain. Okay, so I think you can get the point of this philosophical question. What is I and where is I? And in the next page, sensei said, it's the same in my case. This is sensei, and sensei says, I can't be found anymore, even in my brain. Okay, so sensei wants to say that there is no I to be found in anyone's brain, but we know that there is I somewhere here, but I don't know. So and sensei say, in other words, this isn't how it is. Okay, so this is a false image of where I is. There is no I inside me. Okay. So in this introductory part, a philosophical topic concerning the existence of I is depicted directly and intuitively in the form of manga. So I think this is a strength of using manga expression for introducing a philosophical question. So this directness and intuitiveness is one of the strong points when we use manga to teach philosophy. And I thought many things after the publication of my book. First, there are philosophical thinkings and ideas that can be best described in the form of manga. For example, we can draw the flow of thinking and images directly in manga like this. See? And for me, in many cases, a philosophical thinking first emerges as a picture. What about you? When I think about philosophical questions, some images or ideas happens inside my brain, in my thought, as images, not words or languages, but many various images moving around my head. Okay, so after thinking about philosophical issues by using these images, and after that, I use these words to express my conclusion or my thinking process in my papers or in my books. So, so it makes sense to draw that picture in my head directly before it takes the form of language. So it makes sense to use images, use manga or illustrations to grasp the essence of the philosophical images or pictures. So I think this is one of the advantages of using mangas or illustrations. And second, manga has a strong power to attract people's attention. So I don't know why, but even a child can read manga 2 or 3 hours continuously without rest. I don't know the reason. So I think you can read through my manga book for 2 or 3 hours continuously, and you can finish reading it at one night. And we found cartoonist Terada-san and an editor and I have found that simply draw manga like this kind of childish manga very suit well with philosophical contents. And this kind of very sophisticated, impressive manga doesn't work as a introduction to philosophical thinking. You know, I don't know the reason, but I think when we see this kind of manga, there is plenty of room for thinking when reading. But you know, this type of very sophisticated, deep, and you know, how can I say? So the readers may be overwhelmed by the artistic aspect of this kind of illustration. So there is no room for our mind to think about philosophical issues. Okay, but anyway, this kind of picture suits well for philosophical topics. And thirdly, there are philosophical thinkings and ideas that cannot be well described in the form of manga. For example, it is impossible to draw a manga picture which describes this kind of complicated logical sentence, because X and Y have such and such relationships. If X includes A and B and C, that is natural. It is impossible to draw this kind of logical sentence in the form of picture. This is a page from of my manga book, but you know, in this page there are lots of texts. So this whole page is filled with words, and it is impossible to draw a manga which can explain the meaning of these texts in form of pictures, form of mangas. So I think this is the disadvantages for make use of manga for philosophical purposes. And also, it is impossible to draw some abstract concepts such as nothingness and the death of myself. And I draw this picture, and you know, I think you can understand what I mean by this manga. So then everything becomes nothingness. Might become nothingness, but it is impossible to draw a picture of nothingness. Can you draw a picture of nothingness? So first, I drew the whole page black, but it cannot convey any meaning to the reader. So I had to add the word nothingness, just the center of black and square. So then I could convey the meaning of nothingness to the readers. So I had to use the word nothing to describe the concept of nothingness after the death of man. And so this was a very interesting discovery for me. Okay, the next chapter I will show you some examples from other authors. Okay, this is a well-known comic book, Logi Comics. And this book was written by Greek authors. And this comic deals with the history of 20th century mathematics and philosophy in the form of comics. And this book deals with historical exchanges between famous philosophers such as Bertrand Russell, Ludwig Wittgenstein, and Kurt Gödel. And this became an international bestseller. This is from that book. So you can see, you can imagine the content of this comic. This is very famous, that person. The next is Cartoon Introduction to Philosophy. This was published in 2015 by Michael Patton. He wrote the text, and Kelvin Cannon and he drew cartoon. This is a visual introduction to Western great philosophers from ancient times to the 20th century. So in this book, the texts were written by philosophers and the cartoons were drawn by professional cartoonists. And this is from that book. In this page, the authors talk about ancient Greek philosopher Plato, and his masterpiece, Republic. Okay. And in this page, the authors talk about dualism and physicalism. And so there is a big gap between physicalism and dualism, and so the authors succeeded in expressing a big gap between these two ideas using this kind of illustration. Yeah. This book is basically an explanation of mainstream philosophical theories, not their own philosophical ideas or their own hypotheses. They talk about the past philosophers. Unflattening. This is the author's PhD paper, and all the pages are made by his original illustrations. This is a very interesting and unique book, and also a very beautiful artwork. The author tries to visualize his intuitional ideas and images in this book. Okay, so this is a French book, Philo Comics. This book was written by Jean-Philippe Tibet, Jérôme Fermer, and Henri Combeau. Philo Comics, this approach to bonheur. This book was published in 2017. This is a French comic book. They say this kind of book, bande dessinée, that deals with philosophical theories of 10 famous philosophers, such as Plato, Epicurus, Seneca, Montaigne, Descartes. This is a page which describes the figure of Descartes, René Descartes. So in these pages, they talk about Descartes' personal history. He was born in French and then moved to the Netherlands and Germany. Etc. And so, you can imagine the contents of this book. This is a very beautifully colored bande dessinée style comics. Okay, let's turn our eyes to the Japanese mangas. This is a Ishinomori Shotaro's Manga Introduction to Economics, which was published in 1986. And this manga book became a bestseller in Japan. And Ishinomori Shotaro is a legendary cartoonist in the Showa period. And this manga became a bestseller and won the Shogakukan Manga Prize. And he used manga as a tool for introducing complex economic phenomena and economic theories to general readers. This is considered to be a kind of educational manga for adults. And in this page, he so these characters talking about TVs, videos, and cars. And the next, this is from another page. There are two politicians. And these politicians are talking about national bonds, inflation, elections, and the national bank. This is a book about the introduction to philosophical terms. This is not a manga book, but this is a 2015 bestseller in Japan, in which authors use a great deal of illustrations for explaining philosophical ideas. Like this kind of illustrations, they succeeded explaining very difficult concepts and ideas. In this page, the authors talk about paradigm and paradigm shift in scientific history of science. And also, now we have Manga de Dokha series, manga reading series. And this was published by East Press Company. And this series contains many philosophy books in which great philosophers' ideas are explained in the story-type manga. This is Karl Marx Capital. This is Jean-Jacques Rousseau's Social Contract. This is Apology of Socrates. This is from the, Karl Marx Capital. In these two pages, they said, the important thing is not money's material, but trust given to the money. And here, this is called the fetishism of money. This fetishism goes into people's minds and let them believe that having money itself is their ultimate purpose. This volume is very well written manga. And this series is now has French translations. You can see Marx Capital. This is Einstein. This is Nietzsche, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and Sigmund Freud. And this is another example of a manga introduction to philosophy. This was a Tetsugaku Danshi, which was published in 2010. This is an introduction to Western philosophers by manga-like illustrations. This is Socrates. He is Socrates. You can read this, know yourself. This is Plato. This is the actual word is the shadow. No, this is Plato, and the actual word is shadow of idea. And this is Aristotle. Happiness is the highest good. But surprisingly, the explanation of each philosopher's idea is very good. So I presume the text must have been written by professional authors who know philosophy very well. Can you imagine what is the topic of this manga? Sushi Kokuhen. This is a mathematics manga, and Sushi talks about huge numbers in contemporary mathematics, like this. And every page is filled with complicated mathematics equations. I do not understand anything about these equations, but anyway, but you can read through this manga because the characters are very attractive, like this. This is a sushi cook, and he talks about. So he's a kind of a teacher, contemporary advanced mathematics, on the huge, very, very huge numbers. So these equations explain to reach the biggest number in the universe. So how can we reach that biggest numbers? But I do not understand what the author is talking about. But this is very interesting. And this is another very interesting, strange manga. And this manga's title is "Why Does Semantics Contain the Process?" And this manga discusses logic and the theory of meaning using only words and texts in a visual way. So in this manga, they do not use manga drawings, but they use only words and texts. So they use these texts as if they were pictures. So like this. So so they use these words or texts as a parts of their manga works. I think this is a very adventurous, interesting approach to make manga expressions. Okay, this is made by me. This is my drawing. This is my illustration for the second conference of European Network for Japanese Philosophy, Brussels 2016. And this is the same for the same network conference last year. Last year, this conference was held in Paris. So I thought I drew this manga and someone put colors. Very, very beautiful colors put by Daniel. Okay, the next chapter. In the next chapter, I will talk about philosophy of time in the form, of manga. So before proceeding, please let me know, young students. Can I ask you to what do you think is time? What is time? Do you have any comments or ideas? What is that? Is there someone who show? Yeah. Okay.
I feel like time is visualized change.
Mm-hmm.
So like, the longer something sits out, the more it ages or the more it changes over time. So I think time is just the process of visual change.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. So time is a process of very long process of change, a visual change. Okay, so next I'd like to ask you, what is now? Do you have any image or comment of how do you think is now? What is now?
Just whatever stage of time it is, or measurable.
Okay, so my third question is, what happens to now when time flows?
I feel like now can't be a set thing because it's always changing, right? So now is kind of a made-up concept, just like time is sort of a made-up construct that it's fluid and it's constantly changing. And now will never be the now that it was 2 seconds ago or 2 years ago or whatever. It's just a fluid thing that's, it's just a snapshot of whatever you're seeing there. So now is just whatever snapshot, and when time flows, the snapshot starts changing.
Okay, so where that snapshot goes after 1 second,
I don't think it ever really goes anywhere. It's just maybe one more continuous loop. So it's all still there, but you just don't see it the same way it was.
So you mean time flows, but the now does not flow.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is your idea. So okay. Then what is past? Yeah. Is there any?
I kind of agree with what she said about it being a construct. I think time is another like anthropomorphization of things. Like time was never a concept until history, the beginning of history. Like the world never cared what period of time it existed in. So I feel like it's just an anthropomorphization. All those concepts, past, present, future.
Okay. So let me show you my interpretation of what is time and what is now and what is the flow of time. So in my book, Mamarkun and teacher talk about time and now. Okay. The Mamarkun asks, okay, so what is now? Sensei, so that's a question. And Sensei says, now is like an arena. All sorts of things arise and change within it, then disappear out of it. In other words, things arise into now. So this is the arena, of now. And things arise into now and change within now and disappear from now. This is a Sensei's theory about now and time. And various things spring up into the arena of now. But that's not all. Sensei says the past and the future also springs up into the arena of now. Like this. This is arena of now, and the past spring up in or on this arena, and the future springs up on this arena. So let's try thinking about from a different angle. And normally we think about a flow of time like this. This is past, present, and future. Time, past is the time that has already passed. Present is the moment between past and the future. The future is the time that will occur in the future. And this is the flow of time. The Sensei says, let's see what happens when we compare the common sense view of time, this one, and the arena of now. To begin with, while the past that springs up now exists inside the arena of now. The past itself does not spring because it has already passed out of it. Okay, so the point is that there is a past that we can perceive or grasp now, but there is another kind of past itself that has already passed out of it. So this past itself, we cannot grasp directly. Okay? And similarly, the future itself doesn't exist within the arena of now either, because it has not yet arrived. Then the sensei says, so does the present, this instant, exist within the arena of now? But sensei replied, actually the present, this instant, doesn't exist inside the arena of now either. So this is a case because the arena of now is made up of things that change. So no matter where you look in the arena of now, a frozen, the time, the present of this instance, that is unchanged as a whole, is nowhere to be found. So sensei argued that on the arena of now, we can't see the past itself, we can't see the future itself, we can't see the present itself. Nothing. No. We can't perceive the past itself, future itself, and also the present instant. This is instant itself, because this is instant itself is also, this cannot change. So we can perceive something that cannot change. I borrowed the arena of time from small. Okay. The discussion in the above slides borrows a lot from great philosophers in the past. But the way of visualizing it in this book may be my original contribution. The discussion in the following slides depicts my own philosophical thoughts on time. So we do not have much time left. So I will show you very quickly my sensei's argument. First, there is the arena of now, and then the concept of past, present, future springs up. So sensei argues that this normal, common image of past, present, future itself appears on the arena of now. But at the same time, once there is a concept of past, present, future, it becomes possible to grasp the past that springs up now, and the arena of now, and the future that springs up now, as a three-part set. So, sensei argues this framework, the arena of now and this one, the concept of past, present, future, is helping with each other. This is sensei's argument on flow of time. And the past, present, future is not just a concept. It is a strong conviction held by us who are living our everyday life. Then how does this strong conviction that there is past itself, future itself, present itself, how does this strong conviction arise? This is a reason of the arising of that strong conviction. There is inside us, there is our trying to live. I'm always trying to live with my entire body. And I'm trying to live and take the next step. And in order to wholeheartedly take the next step, I need to believe there is solid ground beneath my feet. So the conviction that the future itself exists is the ground that supports the next step. So we have to move on to the next step. We have to have a conviction that the future itself exists before me, under my foot. And to take the next step is to walk towards the future. So the conviction that the future itself exists arises because our entire bodies want to live. And this relation is, first, there is a trying to live, and next, there appears a conviction that future itself exists. And so there is a conviction that future itself exists, and then the next conviction is that comes from this the first phrase, the conviction that first itself exists. I'm sorry, this conviction. That these three convictions are created one after another, like this. And this is called the problem of conviction, which was discussed by the philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein just before his death. This discussion was found in his book Uncertainty. Okay, so this is the last example. This is from chapter 4. And yeah, here Mamoru-kun cries out for the question of meaning of life. Okay, when you die, everything is over. Why do I have to die? Why have I been born into this kind of life? If death is going to make everything become nothing, I wish I had never been born at all. Then Sensei tries to persuade Mamoru-kun to believe that one's life cannot be compared with anything else. Hence, his actual life cannot be compared with his counterfactual non-life. So this is one's life. Our life, one's life like an arrow. My one time only life that I am in the midst of living right now cannot be compared to anything else. My life transcends the dimension of comparison, so it's impossible to compare my actual life with anything. So Mamoru-kun's cry is it's a false question. So this is what Sensei tries to say. And finally, I will talk about why I wrote Manga Introduction to Philosophy. And I have an interest in the visualization of philosophical ideas or images. Yeah, and I wanted to try to visualize them myself. And I wanted to write an introduction to philosophy that can be easily read by teenagers. And Japan is a nation of manga and anime, and there are many mangas that deal with the history of philosophy or past famous philosophers. However, there is no manga book that is drawn by a philosopher herself from her own philosophical perspective. And after publication, I came to the conclusion that philosophy and manga have good chemistry. And in Japan, not only children and young people, but adults read manga, and even if professors read manga in their offices and libraries, no one criticizes them. And this is a good environment for professors and philosophers to write manga books. I'd like to know, what about your native countries? What is the situation? What happens when in your native countries, when the philosopher read mangas in front of the public? surroundings, and write manga books himself. So, I don't know. Now, I think I will try to write an academic paper in the form of manga someday. And then, what about Manga Introduction to Ethics? But my intuition is that Manga Introduction to Ethics will be easier to make than Manga Introduction to Philosophy. But ethics will not become an adventurous manga book because it is very difficult to visualize such abstract concept as good, evil, love, happiness, justice in the form of manga. So we are forced to draw good guys or happy people, etc. instead. So I don't think this kind of manga will be a stimulating, interesting work. So, and secondly, there have been already many story-based mangas that deal with friendship, love, and justice, and other concepts. I don't know. I have not read any contemporary manga, Shonen Jump, I don't know anything. So maybe you know better manga. Today's manga much better than me. So I think you understand. There are many manga series, manga books that deal with friendship, love, sex, facts. But I think manga introduction to logic may be an interesting and adventurous project. And when I was writing this book, I never imagined that academic researchers outside Japan would have interest in my book because this is manga. And I was surprised. A young French researcher, his name was Pierre Bonnet, asked me permission to translate this book into French. So I was very surprised. And he is now translating this book into French. So someday you will be able to read it in French. And also an English translation is underway by a professional translator, but it will take a very long time to finish because translation is very difficult. Yeah. And thank you very much. And this is for Temple University of Japan. And thank you for Temple University of Japan.
Thank you for your attention. I would like to thank Professor Morioka for this very insightful lecture. I never imagined I will see Socrates, Aristotle, and Plato drawn as manga characters, and I thank you for this opportunity, sincerely. So I would like to open this Q&A session now, so feel free to ask any questions you may have or give comments.
Hi. I'm a fan of manga and I've always had an interest in philosophy. Have you found that doing a book about philosophy in manga form has increased the audience for your publication?
I do not think so. Your question is that the publication of my manga book have increased the population?
No, I mean, do you think that you're reaching a wider audience? More people are reading the book in manga form than in regular novel form?
Yes, certainly. Yeah, my manga book, my manga book sold well. And I have a reaction from young readers and even in high school students. And I believe there are many libraries of high schools have bought this book. So I think many high school students are the readers of my manga book. So I believe my book reached a variety of readers.
Thank you.
Okay. So you said you're not much of an avid manga reader yourself. So I was just curious why you chose manga as your platform instead of maybe using imagery from illustrations in a novel form as well to make it also like that, or like photography or other different visual opportunities you could have taken.
Yeah, you know, when I was very, very young, in my elementary school students, I read many manga books and anime, animation. So for my authors of my age were like me. So I was nurtured, surrounded by many variety of manga in 1960s and 1970s. So manga is a very important part of my cultural and also background. So it is natural that I chose manga as a tool to convey my philosophical imagination to the readers. But currently, if it is possible, I would like to make a short movie. Yeah, to like using CGs and such things to convey my imagination and my images, moving images in my brain to directly to the reader's audience. So, but I do not have any skills to make such a movie. So actually, it is impossible. But if it's possible, I would like to make short movies or short anime in collaboration with some professional creators. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Professor Morioka, for your presentation. I don't have any question, but I would like to raise the situation in France, as you asked to the audience what is the situation in different countries. I'm not a specialist, of course, but I saw that in France usually we think that philosophy is very serious and you cannot really actually make fun. So that's very hard to imagine manga about philosophy. But in the recent years, the situation has actually changed. And for example, you can see everywhere now in the bookstores a comic about philosophy called La Planète des Sages. It's playing with words on the title of a movie called La Planète des Singes. I don't know what is the real title in English, but well. So actually, Planet of Apes, and actually you have one page of comics, very funny comics. It's about 50 philosophers, sorry, and on one page you have a comic, quite humoristic one, about one part of the life or just something that really catches the eye about one specific philosopher, not necessarily his theory, because sometimes it's too difficult to put only in one page. But on the other side, you have one page of text, and it summarizes his theory. So it makes you actually want to read the difficult part, because you have read the humoristic part. But it's another one that really catch my attention a few years ago. When I was in Taiwan, there was a young, well, not that young, French philosopher who was invited to the Taipei Book Fair because his books for children about philosophy has been translated into Chinese in Taiwan. And I thought it was a very bright idea. It's a series of books called Philo Enfants. It's like a children's philosophy. And it's, of course, with images and illustrations. And one book is about one topic. For example, what is freedom? Another one, what is I, and who I am? Or what is happiness? Or what is good and bad? Or this kind of question. And actually, the book doesn't give any answer, and it's only about questions. So first of all, like, what is freedom? Then it means that you can do whatever you want. But then other questions arise, and it's so interesting because it's books for children, so the parents really have to talk with the children about all of these questions. And I think this is quite interesting because for me, philosophy is not about giving answers, but about raising questions and talking together and having different points of view. And actually, these books are supposed to be for children, but it's for parents too. So I think that was quite interesting. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Can I? Okay. Yes. This year, this March, I went to Brussels, and there I went to bookstore and French bookstore. So then I found many books on philosophy, which is for children and young readers, and among them there are several books which talks about philosophical topics in form of bande dessinée. So I was very surprised to see, there are many books for introduction books, philosophy books for young people in French, and also those comic books are very beautiful. Many of them were colored, not black and white, colored and very beautiful. So the French book I introduced, I showed in my slides that I bought this March in version. So and also philosophy for children is now it is becomes a movement in the world and also in Japan. So my colleagues have a series of conferences, meetings, in which they invite parents and children and talk about philosophical topics, and they invite philosophical questions from the children themselves, and talk about philosophy, philosophy cafe. So I think my project, the visualization of a philosophical concept is maybe warmly welcomed by such movement for philosophy for children. Yes, this is my comment to you.
I just forgot to say something I would like to add. Well, it's very interesting that it's also going in Japan, this movement. It was interesting because the philosopher who drew the philosophy for children's book, he said, when you're a parent, when you're talking to your child, usually you ask your child, have you done your own homeworks? Now it's time for eating, or now it's time to go to bed, or what do you want to watch on TV, or this kind of question. But you actually, have very few opportunities to talk about real questions with your children, and that's actually so important.
Thank you for the talk. I was just wondering, when you're drawing your ideas, does your position sometimes change on philosophical questions? Do your ideas change while you're working them out in visual form?
Yes. Okay. So it took 3 or 4 years to finish this book, and when I began writing this book, of course I have First, I have an what kind of book this, what sort of content this book is going to have. So in the beginning, I have a plan, but during the process of my drawing and writing a text, so this plan was gradually changing and has changed. So that is the one reason is that, yeah, just as you suggest, my so how can I say this? So when visualizing my own thought, that made my thinking itself change a little bit. So and then so I made my original drawings, but after that I have to rewrote the whole story, because after writing several pages, then I found my initial thought was wrong. Then I had to rewrote everything, and then I rewrote, and so this kind of things happened. So of course, when I wrote a textbook, this kind of thing usually happened. But in writing this book, some of these changes were made by the visualization themselves. Yeah. So I think it wasn't possible for me to write the same contents only using the text words. So yeah, I guess my answer is yes. The visualization itself has changed my thinking, philosophical thinking. Yes.
Do we have other comments or questions?
Thank you for the presentation. I must confess I was a bit surprised when you said that you visualize ideas, philosophical ideas as images. For me it's always words. It's never images, yes. And in the beginning you said that you believe that using manga, using images, is a very good way, because it's direct, is a very good way of teaching philosophy. And I wanted to ask you if you actually use this book to teach philosophy, or if you know other teachers who do, other institutions who do, or contexts in which the book might be used to teach philosophy.
Yes, actually, in my college class, I do not use my book. Yeah, but for example, this example, the place of I, yeah, this one. I think this one is very useful for the philosophy beginners to grasp what is philosophy, or what is philosophical thinking is like. So I think we can use this sample to philosophy beginners to so let them understand the core way of thinking philosophically. But actually, I have not used my book in my college.
And I also have another question about the content of the book. Do you discuss mainly so to say, Western philosophy or Japanese, East Asian philosophy? What's your focus?
Yeah, in this book, okay, so the first chapter deals with time, and the second chapter deals with existence, being, and the third is what is I, and the fourth is the meaning of life. And as you can see, every philosophical traditions deal with these four topics, philosophical topics. But reading my books, you can feel that my books only discuss Western philosophical topics. But yeah, but for example, in chapter 2, I talked about Heidegger's concept of being, and also Nishida's concept of nothingness. But I do not use their names or their terminology, but not using those names, I try to explain the essence of later Heidegger's concept of being, and also Nishida's complete nothingness by using illustrations.
So you just focus on the ideas, not on the thinkers and the names of the thinkers. Do you plan to write a second manga philosophy book?
Yes, yeah, of course I had plenty of time to write such a book. I would like to write the part 2 of this book. But please give me time. Yeah, but currently I think if I had time, I'd like to write a paper, academic paper, using manga form in manga form, but I do not know whether they journal accept my.
I hope you find a journal that accepts it. Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, then I would like to say a few words. A lot of things that caught my attention. And the first thing that I would like to refer to is that there's a possibility, it seems to me there's a possibility by using manga that we can democratize the access to philosophy. Since philosophy, everyone thinks is a freedom of thinking, it's spontaneous, but it's far from that. From those of you who work in academia know very well, like the very fact that Professor Morioka did not use references, did not quote philosophers, or neither use their names, simply tried to explain the concepts to a wider audience, itself allows for kind of a liberation, right? In a sense of those rules that exist in academic writing in philosophy and so on, so it makes it easier without previous knowledge to access and understand philosophical concepts and ideas, which we spend a lot of times writing, reading, publishing, and studying. So that would be my first comment, and I would like to know what you think about that. The other thing is a lot of members of the audience actually referred to this in a sense, but I remember that you mentioned that you're trying to capture the essence of your ideas before they take the form of language, and this correlation between language and image or the visual is something very interesting. So I would like to know more about what you mean by this. So these are my two comments, questions. Thank you.
Okay, concerning your second comment first. Yes, I said that first the philosophical images of concept comes to my mind as a picture or images, movie images. So then I put words on these images. But philosophically speaking, it is doubtful that there is images without language. Without philosophical speaking, there might be no image that has not been influenced by our language framework, language itself. Yeah. So our every image should be shaped by our native language. Okay. So strictly speaking, my my explanation is wrong. I think it is wrong. But my point is that for me, in my case, the visual image, so the visual aspect of a philosophical idea plays a very important role for my thinking, for my philosophical thinking. So I want to I want to shed more light on this aspect. The role the visualized image can play in our philosophical thinking, philosophical discussion, and our philosophical discoveries. I don't know such things. Okay, so this is what I stress. What I want to stress. So so please do not take my words so rigorously. And concerning my your first comment, yes, of course, as a professional philosopher, I love to read past philosophers. Yes, I like very much. Yes, if I have plenty of time, I like to read. So use spare much time, more time for reading philosophical texts. But I, as a writer, philosophical writer, I like to convey the essence of philosophical concepts or philosophical theories. I would like to convey those essences to the readers, and I'd like to discuss about the concept, not about the philosophers himself or herself, but I'd like to, firstly, I would like to discuss about the ideas with you, with the readers, or with my friends, and think about them and create new ideas that has not been argued by past philosophers. So I would like to think about concepts, ideas. So I think this is this can be interpreted as a kind of democratization of philosophical thinking, and just as you mentioned. But anyway, my main motivation is to think about ideas and new ideas, and let us create new ideas or frameworks or perspectives that can grasp the essence, which is so we are living in contemporary society, in a democracy, and also in societies filled with technology, and also this kind of material in civilization. So our age is completely different from Descartes' age or Kant's age or Socrates' age. So we have to create new way of thinking about universal philosophical topics in a different way. So as a professional philosopher, we have to do this kind of thing. So this is my strongest motivation for writing this kind of book.
Well, I guess we're almost out of time, unless there's one short comment or question. No, then I guess we can end it on this note. Thank you all for coming tonight and sharing this experience with us, and I hope to see you soon again in this lecture series in the fall. Thank you all. Thank you.